All right. Welcome, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Making sure all my little knobs and levers and everything is working. Um, all right. Wow. Every time I come into Zoom, there's like some update. They're actually doing something with their software for once, which change. All right. Well, welcome, everybody. My name is Patrick. I run the marketing department here at Art Storefronts, and I've been doing that for years and years and years now. You're probably wondering, what's the point of today's session? What are we going to be talking about? What is the agenda? What is the plan? The idea with these sessions is somehow you guys got drawn into the Art Storefronts ecosystem. You're wondering who we are, what we do, how we can potentially help you. Do we know what we're talking about? Why do we email so much? You have all kinds of questions. And so the point of today's session is to answer those questions, to get to know you guys a little bit. You guys get to know us a little bit, who we are, what we do, how we think, how we like to approach things. And so that is the game plan for today. As we wind down summer every single solitary year, and I should say we've been doing this for it's almost 10 years now. We have a little bit over 10,000 customers. We get pretty crazy and intentional about banging the drum about Q4. Q4 is just essentially the last 3 months of the year. It is the busiest art selling time of the year by quite some margin. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the holiday buying season, all of that combined, we see a pretty significant increase in the amount of art and photography that is sold across our customers' websites. And so we kind of like to really, make it an event and get everyone fired up and get everyone to take it seriously and to think about what marketing they need to do ahead of time and to contemplate how to run sales and all of the things that we think are, sort of the brass tacks, if you will, of running a successful art of photography business. So you'll probably see that in a bunch of our marketing. That is what today's presentation is going to be about. After the presentation runs its course, and it's essentially a video I made on one of these a couple of weeks ago. It's a good one, though. We will move right into Q&A, where you guys can ask any question you have about anything. Love to talk about it, love to answer it. It could be anything that we do, anything that you guys are struggling with as a business. I've got one additional, new feature update thing that I get to rant about a little bit, but I'll do that after the presentation. And one thing to note, as the presentation rolls along, if you look at the bottom of your Zoom window, there's like a little chat thing that you can hit. And if you do that, it pops up a little chat box. I can see those messages, and so as the thing rolls along, if you guys have questions, throw them in there. I'd love to answer them. If I can't answer them immediately, or if I need a little bit more time to answer them, then we can just save them to the Q&A after the fact. You can hear me though, Andrea. Someone always seems to have audio additions. Nizar, the best thing to do is, the same advice that you always have to give anytime someone asks you a tech-related question. Just restart the thing. Half the time, more than half the time, that ends up doing it. But you can always select a different speaker too. So okay, I'm gonna play this presentation. As soon as it's done, we are going to jump into Q&A. It's very important to me that whether you guys ever decide to do business with Art Storefronts or not, that you leave today with some actionable insights and intel that you can bolt into your business, and help you start taking some forward steps. So that's very important to me. So contemplate any and all questions you have. I really look forward to answering them, and I will see you as soon as this video is done. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you guys do that waiting room again. So that's good news. That means I can pour a ton of energy into all of you guys. We got Mark McClanahan on here, and my last name is Patrick Shanahan. He and I are clearly related back in the old country somewhere, which is hilarious. Well, I'm really excited that you guys are all here. And despite the small group today, I will change absolutely nothing with the presentation. I will just get to pour more energy into you guys, your comments, your questions, your concerns. I call this thing the Q4 boot camp because Q4 is coming, but I want to rant about something else because it's top of mind and it's important to me. And it's not Instagram, but we'll talk about that in a second too. Let me get off that so it's not distracting. So I should say I've been at this business for 8 years, and it was in the art industry before that. And I've been running sessions like this essentially 3 days a week since right around the time the pandemic started. So it's got to be 50,000 artists and photographers now over the course of that entire time. We have a little bit over 10,000 customers at Art Storefronts. I get to see all their data, not only on who's selling what prices, this, that, and the other, but also where did their traffic come from that actually led to these sales. What I've come to realize in all of that is there's only three viable ways to make it today as an artist, photographer who wants to sell their creations. Only three. And let's talk about the three. And to give it some teeth, let's just say a successful art business. I know everyone's definition of that is a little bit different, right? But for the sake of argument, let's just say a successful art business is an art business in which you have gross sales of $100,000 a year, right? It sounds like a lofty number, fine, but let's just say that. So, okay, there's only three ways to get there. Number one way, the way that everyone on this call would prefer to do, get into a gallery where all you have to do is create and they do everything else. That sounds awesome, right? Okay, let's work those numbers through. You're in a gallery, and you're doing $100,000 a year in gross sales. The gallery takes 50%. So that means at the end of the day, you get $50,000 back. And because it's gross sales, then you have to subtract your studio, your materials, your trips, your tripods, your lenses, all of that, and maybe you're left with $35,000. Hardly a living wage. Let's make that picture a little bit rosier. And by the way, the number of artists that are in that situation that are selling $100,000 a year in a gallery is probably less than 1 or 2% of the total artists and photographers that are out there trying to sell their art in photography. Let's make that picture a little bit rosier and let's say $300,000. Okay, let's triple it in gross sales a year in a gallery. And with the aforementioned 50% haircut, 150, okay, you're making 100 grand a year. That's fantastic. That's less than 1%, probably less than 0.2% of artists and photographers out there. So in terms of like a viable path forward, the way that I like to explain making it in a gallery is to have that level of success that way as an artist or photographer is kind of like playing a sport versus being a professional athlete. How many people do you know play a sport? How many professional athletes do you know, right? Like the odds are just not fantastic. And the real death knell to the gallery model is you guys are all going to be artists and photographers for the rest of your life. I routinely get people on these calls in their 90s still trying to sell their art, which is amazing. And you realize it's the long game. Wherever you are, you have a ton of time left, right, to do this, God willing, of course. If you don't know who's purchasing your art and you can't market to them for the rest of your life, you don't have the ability to develop collectors. Collectors are folks that'll come back and keep buying from you again and again and again, year after year after year. And it's the lifeblood of any art business. In the gallery model, you don't know because the gallery doesn't tell you who purchases. It's important to state that, important to understand that. All right, let's table the gallery model for a sec. Next is to become a road warrior. A road warrior is someone that does anywhere from 25 to 45 shows a year. The fairs, the shows, the farmers markets, the thises, the that's, and you are loading that car up, setting up the booth. Sometimes it's a dud, sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's inclement weather. You're away from your family, you're 8 hours a day on your feet. It is not easy, it's hard. That being said, totally viable path to get there. If I was an artist myself and I was like looking back at my life and I wanted to give my like 20-year-old self some advice, okay, Emma, talking to you, you're the young one here, it would be like, don't have a wife, don't have a significant other, don't have kids, don't have a mortgage. And if you have any of those things, it's just a generalization. You're the young one and I'm looking at you. So go and do that when you're young. Because if you can do that when you're young, when you don't have the aforementioned significant other and kids and soccer games on Saturdays and a mortgage, that's when you're the freest to be able to do that. And it's totally a viable path. Like I've got multiple customers that are in their 50s and 60s that did it for years and years and years. One guy I think of, this guy, Bill Stidham, 175,000 miles on his van in 6 years that he just used for his art shows. I mean, he hit it hard. You know what that guy has now? Healthy 6-figure-a-year business, and he barely does any shows anymore because he built up a list, he built up a customer base, he built up collectors. The third way, okay, is what everybody really, truly has to do. It's what you want to do, which is, I know I'm not going to get into a gallery. I know I'm not doing the show and fair circuit. That's just too much. I can't be that road warrior. So I want to sell direct. I want to understand who's purchasing my work. And it's totally a viable path. It's what we advocate. Here's the rub, though. You have to market your own art. You have to market your own art. There is no one that is going to market it for you. And for some people, that is a painful thing to hear. For most artists and photographers, it's a painful thing to hear. But it's true. Anyone that's been in this business for any period of time knows that you guys are all sold a bill of goods that somehow an artist or a photographer's vocation is just to create this amazing thing and everything else just happens, and nothing could be further from the truth. You have to get good and understand that marketing yourself is just as important a job as creating what you create. And the sooner you come to terms with that, the way better your life becomes. Why? Because there's never been a better time in the history of the world to do it. Not even close. I mean, for those of us that are older and remember the days before these things existed and before social networks with hundreds of millions of people worldwide were on their phones all day long, do you know how hard it was? Do you know how much harder it was? You were geographically fixed on the planet somewhere, and that's where you started, and that's what you had. You had to grind way harder. Now, if you take your marketing vocation seriously, if you're like, I'm going to get good at this, if you realize that your art business is essentially 2 trains on 2 tracks. Train number 1, your art, your craft, your creations, your subject matter material, your brush, your lens, how good you get with all of that. That train has its own path, and it will go throughout the rest of your career. You want to get better at it. You want to make sure that train has no brakes. The other one is how good you get at marketing yourself. And you need to treat it seriously, and you need to turn it into an art form. And if you understand those 2 things, that is the path that artists and photographers get on, will become successful, will have a business that is growing year after year after year. And I really firmly do believe there's never been a better time in the history of the world to do that. But it's actually simple. Simple, not easy. Not easy in the fact that you guys have to get good at marketing. Not good that you have to take it seriously. Not good that you have to learn how to do this. And nobody likes doing it. I totally get that, okay? I mean, I run the marketing department here. Truth be told, I don't even like doing it, okay? Posting on socials on a regular basis, content marketing, right? Running sales, all the things that you have to do. But I don't know what the alternative is. I don't know what the alternative is. Because of all the tens of thousands of artists and photographers that have come through these Zoom sessions in the last 3 years, there are maybe 1 or 2 that were doing great in the gallery. And I saw specifically, like right when COVID hit and all those gallery people got closed up, those people were flooding into these Zooms going, what do I do? I've got nothing. My income's done, right? It was terrifying. The road warriors are the road warriors. And then there's nothing else. You know, there's nothing else. Like, I've had like 6 people tell me they make more $10,000 a year on Saatchi, Fine Art America, Redbubble. I've had a couple of people on Etsy that are doing like $20,000 or $30,000 a year, but I haven't heard anyone else. So when you realize those odds, and please don't take it cynically, like this is only going to happen for you if you sign up at Art Storefronts. I don't care where you sign up or what you do, but I do care that if you want to take this business seriously and you want to see it growing year after year, it's the 2 trains, 2 tracks, no brakes. 2 trains, 2 tracks, no brakes. Okay. Now that rant is over with, I call this thing a Q4 boot camp, and I love the marathon analogy, all right? I hate running. I will never sign up for a marathon in my life. But I know some people that have, and there's one thing that you notice about those people that sign up for the marathon. As soon as you fill out that form for that miserable activity, your whole life changes. Why? You know the pain is coming. You start eating a little bit better. You start training and taking your exercising more seriously. You start getting better sleep. If it's me, you work on that drinking habit that you have, right? All of these things in your life, you start taking more seriously. And my contention, having been in this business for close to 10 years now, and having seen what goes on in Q4 the last 3 months of the year, it's a marathon that you're signed up for, whether you know it or not. And the training that you do between now and then, between the 4th quarter, the buying season, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the roll up to Christmas, all of those sales that are in the water, all throughout that. More art, more photography is sold in the 4th quarter than the other 3 quarters combined almost sometimes. Like our customers that do it well have a good year based on what that 4th quarter is. And so my contention is that you're signed up for that marathon whether you know it or not. And the question is, what are you going to start doing between now and then? What are you going to start doing between now and then to get ready? Because if it's wait until things start getting colder, kids are back at school, you're running around like a crazy person, next thing you know, it's Thanksgiving. I gotta have a sale. And then you post something on Facebook and send an email to 6 people. Not gonna be good, right? So we need to start training now, right? We need to start getting our businesses in order now. And there's a number of different ways that you can approach that and that you can contemplate it. But step 1 in all of it is have it in the back of your head. It's coming. What you do between now and then is going to dictate the level of success that you have, and it is the most important time of the year to be selling. Without question, not even close. And you have to have your art up on the website. You have to start working on an email list. You have to start marketing regularly and consistently on the social media platforms. If you do that now, you're gonna wake up come October and you're gonna be like, oh, got a little momentum in my back. things actually look pretty good here. People actually know who I am, and I have the ability to market and run some sales when Black Friday and Cyber Monday comes along. So very, very important to understand that happens every single solitary year. Every year it is absolutely fantastic in terms of sales, in terms of art and photography. So all very, very important. Pricing is another big one. And pricing is one of my favorite topics in this business period, right? And do you know what I love more than anything else? All the bullshit advice that's out there based on pricing. Here's the formula that you use for pricing. It's material cost times square inch times media times your time. Yeah, okay, great. Thanks for that. Magic, really. The only thing that matters is whether or not the art sells. There is no magical formula that's going to help you price your art if the art doesn't sell, which is why all of those formulas are nonsense. Pricing is quite simply this. And it's awesome and it's freeing. And once you do it, once you realize this lesson, and I have like a really in-depth article on this, and I'm going to send it to all of you. You, creative types, need to have prices from 0 to 100. You need to have prices from 100 to 1,000. You need to have prices over 1,000. And you need to have one thing in the shop that is obscenely expensive. Okay? And let me break that all down with some real numbers. The 0 to 100 is really, really easy, especially if you're reproducing your artwork in terms of prints. But you also have to have non-wall art as a part of your lineup. Okay? It can't just be wall art. And the reason is that not everybody is ready to buy wall art all the time. And so you're out there, you're doing your marketing, you're getting your art, your photography in front of people, and they're like, wow, I really like this person. I really like their creativity. Problem, I'm not in the market for art right now. I want to reward this person for their talent, but I'm not in the market for art right now. If only they had something that was non-wall art related. Oh, they don't. Tell you what, I'll make a mental note to come back here. I'm going to go watch some cat videos, and you know what the masks do there, right? They're not coming back. They're never coming back. So the importance of having the non-wall art is so critical. No one talks about this enough. A business, specifically your guys' businesses, can be judged how well they are growing on one metric and one metric alone. The number of new customers you are acquiring per year. The number of new customers you are acquiring per year. Why? Why? Because the easiest customer to get is the one that you already have. It is significantly easier to get somebody to come back and purchase a second time than it is to go out and find a new person and have them purchase for the first time. And this is just a fundamental rule of most businesses, but specifically this business. And I alluded earlier to how important it is to not sell in galleries so that you know who is purchasing your work. There is a phenomenon in here. I stole it from this guy, so I always give him credit. Hold on, I'm going to grab his book. I stole this from Weiland, okay? Weiland is the whale guy. Most would say the best-selling artist in the United States. By the way, this book, fire! Okay? Insane. Amazing. You need to go buy it. Honestly, I should be on commission for this. In fact, he's got a gallery close to where I live. I'm going to go in there and get it. Short, sweet, no fluff. I'm sorry, here it is. But the rub is it's not on Amazon. I think he donates 100% of the proceeds to charity, so you have to buy it from his website. But honestly, Google this book and buy this book. Weiland defines a collector as someone that will purchase in upwards of 7+ pieces of art from him over the course of a lifetime. And this is a phenomenon I see played out continually with my own customer base. But when you have collectors, it's a phenomenon of this business, right? Like there's certain product categories that have collectors, right? If you ask my 7-year-old kid, it's those damn Pokemon cards. They're all over my floor right now. You guys would laugh if you saw these. But shoes, cars, wristwatches, art is one of them. And it's a fantastic thing because you will keep creating throughout the course of your life. And these collectors will just go along for the ride. You keep raising prices, they keep coming and buying and buying and buying. Oh, that's awesome. Emma just said that book is on Spotify for free. I did not know that. Definitely listen to it. You want to highlight it, though. I'm not kidding. Great book. Where was I going with all that? So if we know the most important thing an art business can have as a collector, and then we know in order for a collector to become a collector, they first have to purchase something, that underscores how important it is to have non-wall art as a part of the lineup, okay? That's the 0 to 100 range. Also in there, you obviously have small prints. And then let's say you're 100 to 1,000, you get into some bigger size prints, right? your metals, your canvas, your acrylic. You go through that 0 to 1,000 range, and maybe close to the 1,000 range, you're in limited editions, and then above that, you have your originals. Everyone has to adjust it a little bit to taste. But you also need something obscenely expensive in the store. And let's say that you sell your originals, just to keep the math simple, at like $1,000. I want one in there for 10 grand. And why? Why one in there for 10 grand? That's crazy. I'm never going to sell that thing. I don't even care if you don't ever sell that thing. You ever been to a car dealership? And you know, in the car dealership, that the big glass box in the middle, I know the car dealership is a miserable feeling in most people's heads because you have to deal with the salespeople. But anyway, the big glass box in the middle, right? Let's say we're at the Toyota dealership. In that big glass box in the middle is the Toyota Supra carbon fiber TRD whatever. It's $275,000, right? There's a reason that they put those cars inside the glass box, and it's because human beings are wired to make purchase decisions based on comparison. We anchor onto certain things to compare to other certain things. And so when we go and look at that $250,000 Supra or the $150,000 Land Cruiser that's inside the glass box, we anchor onto that price point, and it makes us feel just that much better about buying the $60,000 Highlander, right? That's on the outside. And that's a phenomenon called price anchoring, and it's just one of these psychological things that's really, really, really important to do. You feel better knowing that I didn't buy the most expensive thing. It makes you feel a little bit better. That's why you put that high-priced item in there. Also, everyone's followers, yours, mine, any business, that all fall into a thing that I call the socioeconomic bell curve, okay? It's your typical bell curve, exactly what you'd expect. And down at the low end of it, you have the low socioeconomic status. Those people can't afford anything. They'll like, comment, share on your post. They're still good people. Then you have lower income folks, middle class, upper middle class, high net worth individuals, the bell curve, right? You know, what does everyone always say to me all the time? Yeah, I just want to target high net worth buyers. Yeah, good. That's great. You and every other business on the planet, aside from the 99-cent store, wants to target the high net worth buyers, okay? That is why it's insanely difficult to do that. But the point is, you need to have this range of pricing that I'm discussing to be able to cover all of the spots on that bell curve. Because what happens when you do that is you acquire the highest number of customers possible. And the beautiful thing about acquiring the highest number of customers possible is you can market to these folks in the future. The bell curve is not a fixed entity. Your buyers and potential buyers are going up and down that bell curve their entire lives. The one that's living in their mother's basement right now is buying their new house 2 years from now. And you got that sale. Do you want to know why you got that sale? Because you sold them a mug or a mouse pad or a calendar or a whatever, and it sat on their fridge. It could be a sticker, okay, that's on my garage fridge with all the rest of the stickers. And every time I go out to get a beer, which is an enjoyable experience for me, I look at your art, okay? Now I've moved out of my mother's basement and I'm going to go buy a house, and you got that sale. And that's how it works. And I get a lot of pushback on the merch, okay? I'm a fine artist, Patrick. I would never sell that merch, that cheap tchotchke crap. I'm not doing that. To which I respond, let me know the last time any of you went to a museum that didn't have a gift shop. I'll wait. Okay? If Van Gogh's Starry Night is on the wall, and you can also buy a Starry Night poster in the gift shop for $22 plus tax, I'm pretty sure Van Gogh's not losing any sleep over it. Technically, he's really asleep. He's dead. But you get the point, okay? You get the point. You ever been to a concert that hasn't had merch? I don't think so, okay? The Rolling Stones, take your pick, okay? Merch is very, very important in the simple lens that you acquire more customers as a result of it. So having that price range is huge. What is one of the most defeating things that happens to artists and photographers out there? You worked hours on a piece. I mean, hours. It took so much time. You're going to sell this thing for $800, and what happens? Someone's like, yeah, that's beautiful. Would you take $25 for it? Oh, you're just deflated, right? Like this person is just, I mean, it's like a troll on social media. I mean, they have just ruined your entire day. The beautiful thing is, when you have the range of pricing, it doesn't happen as much. It almost doesn't happen at all. Because people understand, they have a context of where things are in your lineup. Oh, this is $100 and under. Oh, this is $100 to $1,000. Oh, this is over $1,000. Oh, that's the $5,000 piece. And what's more, when you get those folks who don't know any better, okay, most of them are not yet people, they just don't know any better, you could be like, oh, that's fantastic. I love that you have the interest. That one costs quite a bit more, but let me show you what is in your range.
and then we gently guide them to where we are in our range. Do you know how much better that is for your self-esteem? Okay, let me tell you, significantly better. It is significantly better for your self-esteem. You are going to be a happier and better functioning member of society, okay? Your significant other is like, this is awesome. Why are you in such a good mood? It's because you have the range of pricing. Very, very important. That's pricing. I'm going to send you a follow-up article on it after this whole thing's over. In addition to the pricing, the next thing I want to talk about is Instagram. Most important social network for artists and photographers. It's not even close. Secondarily, it's Facebook. Okay, have to be working on both of them. Well, Patrick, what about TikTok, or what about Pinterest, or what about SEO? Yeah, what about shiny objects that are not going to move your business anywhere and are going to put you on the road to a hobby? All right, that's what all the rest are. I don't care what anyone else says, anyone's friends, anyone. No one is selling art on any of the rest of those things, okay? They are lying to you if they're saying they are. It's nonsense. I've looked at way too much data. Aside from onesies, twosies here with weird circumstances, the two most important places that you need to be are Instagram and secondarily Facebook. And thank God for that. Okay, don't talk to me about TikTok. I'll kick you right out of this Zoom. You are lying to yourself, okay? Stupid Chinese app, communist app that is just trying to flood you with an endorphin hit. You got 10,000 views. You didn't get 10,000 views. You got 100 views from people that are never going to buy your work, okay? So when we stay focused on the only two platforms that matter, to the detriment of wasting time on any of the rest of those ones, I don't care. Just stay out of there. Stay in my lane. Facebook and Instagram and Facebook. You will end up winning. And why is Instagram the most important? What do you guys create? You create visual creations. What is Instagram? A giant visual search engine. Imagine that. Lines up pretty nicely, right? The beautiful thing is that Instagram has become, over the years, evolved into the credit check for artists and photographers. What do I mean by that? I'm going to buy something. I saw something. My neighbor had something. It's really important for me to keep up with the Jones. I'm going to go look at what he got. And what am I doing? I'm going instantaneously to Amazon. I'm going to read the reviews. Was that thing good? Is there a better one? Maybe there's a better one. Maybe I can one-up this guy because I got to keep up with the Jones. Now, we check Amazon is a way of getting credit checks, like getting the reviews of what something is, right? So you could say Consumer Reports or some of the other sites too. For artists and photographers, it's like, hey, I just saw this. I'm at your friend's house. You sold some art to your friend. I saw that. That's a great piece. Who did that? Oh, yeah, it's my buddy. It's my cousin, Mark McClanahan over there. And you should check him out. You know what they're going to do? They're going to pull out Instagram, and they're going to look for you, and they're going to look at your profile, and are they going to say, is this an artist that's doing anything? Is this an artist that's putting out content regularly? Are they on the up and up? Do they have 2 followers or 2,000 followers, right? And it's very, very important to understand, one, that Instagram offers a credit check, okay? So fundamentally, it's important just for that matter. 2, secondarily, and I should also say, like, you know, the data in this industry is so utterly, totally, completely opaque, right? Like, there's so much nonsense out there, it's mind-boggling. But there's 2 outfits that report on the super high end of the art market. One's the Hiscox Group, it's an insurance entity out of London, and the other is Art Basel teams up with UBS Payne Weber, I think that's who it is. The 2 of them put out a report, and what they do is they survey every year all of the folks that are essentially buying $100,000 pieces and up. And every single solitary year, I've watched the results of those reports when it comes out, and every year it ticks up. Did you follow and or consume content from an artist on Instagram? Was Instagram influential in your buying decision? And in both cases, both of their surveys, like, those percentages are really pretty high. So it's significant in its ability to help you guys sell art. The top-end, high-end buyers are all there, okay? So that makes it very important as well. The beautiful thing about Instagram is you can reach a ton of buyers. The terrible thing about Instagram is you have to post frequently on it for years to really make a huge dent. So, yeah, 1, you got to get started. 2, you have to understand you're going to suffer in the short term, because it's not easy, and you have to learn how to do it, and you have to learn how to enjoy it and get good at it. And we can talk about that in depth. I have a ton of teaching on Instagram. But the beautiful thing that exists currently on Instagram, and I love this. Okay, we're going to do a little social media history lesson. But Facebook emerged. Facebook pretty much became a monopoly. Okay, power was unchecked. Then a new rising competitor came along, and Facebook is like, we can't have any competition. It was Instagram. We're going to go buy those folks. So they bought them. Okay, great. Now Facebook's even more powerful. It's Facebook and Instagram. I'm streaming on their platform when I'm saying this, so I get banned. You guys will know why. Zuckerberg kicks my door, and you'll know why. So now they own these two platforms. So the playbook was, we are a monopoly. If any competitors come along, we're just going to buy them. Okay. Snapchat emerges. Snapchat starts taking all of these young kids away from Facebook and Instagram. They're like, all right, what does the playbook say to do in this situation? Let me see the playbook. Market says if we have a competitor, go and buy him. All right, somebody go and buy Snapchat. So they go and try and buy Snapchat. Snapchat says pound sand. Mark's like, okay, what does the playbook say now? We don't know. He goes, all right, we're just going to copy them verbatim. And so Snapchat had these things called stories that disappeared after 24 hours, and Facebook copied them verbatim. So, okay, now Snapchat peters out. I mean, who's using that? I don't know. Some kids, whatever. It's whatever. I don't want to talk about it. The next one came along. This time it was TikTok. And Mark Zuckerberg went right back to the playbook. He's like, okay, this is awesome. TikTok is starting to steal a bunch of our users. It's competition. What should I do? Let's go try and buy them. He goes and tries and buy them again. They tell him no. He said, my wife is Chinese. Let me buy you. They still said no. So the next thing they do is they're like, okay, what does the playbook say next? Copy them verbatim. And so that's what they did. And by the way, the other social players were watching, and now YouTube watched, and they're like, okay, let's copy them verbatim. So what did TikTok have? These short form little videos that were 120 seconds or less and were very compelling cell phone style video size. They copied that feature verbatim and called it Instagram Reels. YouTube saw that, copied that feature verbatim, called it YouTube Shorts. I could cycle through the 3 views of those 3 different products, and you could almost not tell the difference. They even put the buttons in the same place as copycats. Anyway, why it was a brilliant thing, TikTok coming along, is it destroyed what has been up to that point in time the social contract. What is a social contract? What do I mean by that? Hey, art store friends, work really hard on my platforms, Facebook and Instagram, and post a bunch of content. When you do, people will follow you and become fans. After you earn those followers and those fans, some small portion of what you create will be shown to those followers and fans for free. Early on in the days, it was like 90%. Recently, it's like 2 to 5%. Tiny, almost nothing, right? So that is what the social contract was. TikTok, God bless them, despite the fact that don't like the platform and think it's evil, has been still siphoning off users from Instagram at an alarming rate. It's all the younger kids and the people that are chasing likes that are not real and chasing views that are not real. It's a worthless platform. Anyway, so what they've done is they've torn up the social contract. So now where we are is we're in a scenario where you can get onto Instagram and you can have 2 followers, your significant other and your mother, okay? She likes and comments on everything. God bless you. Thank you, Mom. You can create content in the form of an Instagram Reel. And an Instagram Reel can potentially, if it's good, be seen by hundreds, by thousands, by even millions. In which case, you organically marketing without leaving your house, showing off your creations, understanding the platform, can get free reach. It used to be you didn't get that. And it used to be you had to pay a ton of money in terms of Facebook and Instagram ads to get that attention. Now you can do that without leaving your house. And that's an incredible, incredible thing. So it represents a huge, huge opportunity. And so that's where we stand right now as it sits in 2023. I believe Instagram is the most amazing platform that exists that can bring you guys buyers, bring you guys fans, bring you guys email addresses, and yes, sell your art with photography, but you have to get good at marketing it. You have to understand how to post. You have to work on your posting frequency, and you have to learn to love it.
And you have to be consistent, which almost no one ever is. Almost no one ever is. You know, I've run so many of these and talked to so many of you guys that I know without even having to talk to anyone or without having to ask anyone any questions that every single solitary person's problem on this call is marketing. You haven't done it consistently. You consistently not wanted to do it in the slightest. You have treated it every year like a New Year's resolution where you sign up to the gym and you're going 4 days a week in January, and then March rolls along and you haven't been once all month. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You don't ever get the days back. You don't ever get the weeks back. You never build any momentum, and it is the vicious cycle that ruins more art and photography careers than anything else, and it sucks. It's got to stop. It's essentially why we exist at the end of the day, and it actually is. It's informing informing everything that we're doing as a company. So we started out with, the best art selling website that exists on the planet. Okay, great. Reality is, despite the fact all of you guys need websites, none of you have a website problem. If I picked your business up and magically moved it to any website platform, anywhere, any competitor, us, whoever, nothing in your business would change, because it's like having the best restaurant in the world and no one's inside of it, right? Like no one sat down. You have to fix that problem before you fix any of the other problems. And so we started out with the greatest website. Then we really tackled the POD thing, meaning you get an order, you get paid, the printer gets paid, the printer shits it out, the system sends all the emails, you don't have to do anything. So there's another thing that's outsourced. Now in our evolution, we've moved towards, what percentage of our customers' marketing can we do for them? And so we developed a new product. We call it Copilot, and we essentially connect our system, because we have all of your images, right? Because you've uploaded them all to your website. We connect our system to your Facebook. We connect our system to your Instagram. We have access to all of your images because we have access to your website, and we run a regular and consistent part of our customers' marketing that are on the service. So what does that equate to? Posting regularly on Facebook and Instagram, sending emails regularly to keep your audience engaged, running sales when the time of the sale is right. And most people are like, they have a vague idea of what running a sale is. And take 10% off and you're going to post something on Facebook and send an email. It's a little bit more involved than that when you get good at it. You tease a sale. You announce a sale. There's things that you do during the sale. During the course of a week's sale, you might have 35 posts that all talk about the sale, and then you wind the whole thing down and finish it. And so we have the ability to go in and do all of these things technologically, and we started doing them. And I think, one of the big picture things that we've realized is that it's very difficult to make it as an artist or a photographer. If you are going to make it as an artist or photographer, you need to be able to over-index from a time standpoint on the number one most important thing, which is creating the work, okay? And then the number two most important thing, marketing the work. The problem is that you guys are all solopreneurs, and you have to wear every damn hat. You're the creator, you're the salesperson, you're the tax person, you're the marketing person, you're the web designer, right? And so, you don't have time to do any of those things. And it's really hard to be able to delegate that stuff. One, you have to be able to afford to pay for it. Two, you have to be able to let go of some of those things. And sort of the analogy is like, if you were a really, really good chef, let's take it out of art for a sec. If you were a really, really good chef, the best use of your time is going to be cooking the meals and occasionally talking to patrons, right? You don't need to be on the phone taking reservations. You don't need to be greeting diners when they come in. You don't need to be taking their orders. You don't need to be serving the dishes. You don't need to be doing the dishes. You don't need to be ordering the stuff unless you want to do that. Most chefs do that. But with artists and photographers, that's the scenario, right? Like, you can't offload any of the responsibilities that take all of the damn time. And so you don't have the damn time to put it into the things that matter, creating the work and marketing the work. And so I realize, like, as a business, that's what we've evolved to do. Artists and photographers used to have to build and manage and maintain their own websites. Not anymore. We do that for you. Okay, that's done. You've outsourced that, right? Now you've just hired a waiter or a waitress. They're taking all the orders. You used to have to go and you get an order and you would have to go down to the printer and talk to the printer and box that thing up, send somebody the tracking number. That's done. You don't have to do that anymore at all. Now, with Copilot, we take over the portion of your marketing that we can do for you. Meaning we can't do 100% of it for you because every art sale is essentially 50-50. It's 50% the work, okay, and what that looks like, and then it's 50% who are you, the artist, what makes you tick, what makes you interesting, why I might be interested in what you do, what shared interest do we have, and all of that. So, that's what we have our customers continuing to do today in at least around Copilot. I don't even know why I went on the rant. I feel like the restaurant analogy is a good one, though. It's like, for the chef that can't give any of that stuff up, he's only ever going to have one or two tables in the restaurant. Probably a better restaurant experience for me, the diner, but you're never going to be able to grow it into a significant business unless you can offload some of that stuff. So, all right, enough with that. We can get into the Q&A. How does it work? If you're one of the brave ones that has your camera on, you can just raise your hand. We'll see that. All good. No problem. For everyone else, if you look at the bottom of the Zoom window, there's this little smiley face, and you see how it says reactions and a plus sign on it. If you click that, that lets you raise your hand digitally speaking. That's super helpful for me because then it just gives me a cue and I know you have a question. If you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on. Okay. I hate being on video. I have a face for radio, but this is my job. So if you don't want to have a camera on, that's totally okay. You can do that too. You can throw questions into the chat. And then also, if you are one of the ones that's watching on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, I can see your comments and I can answer those directly too. So feel free to leave a comment. Aside from me trying to pronounce Loki's name in here, you see Loki's like 27 letters. I think you have every letter of the Hawaiian alphabet in that middle name there. Do you see the size of this thing? It's Loki, K. I'm not even going to do it. There's just way too many. There's way too many in there. That's a very, very long one. But anyway, not only, by the way, I should say, and thank you, Susie, for having your hand up. You'll go first. Not only am I here, okay, I run the marketing department here. If you don't want to talk to the corporate shill, i.e. me, we have a customer here as well, Andrea, and you can see she's up there waving. So if you've got questions and you want to talk to her, she's a very talented photographer, been with us for a little while, you could talk to her. So that's how we do things. Susie, you're kicking us off today. Thanks for being brave and going first. Go ahead, Susie. You'll need to unmute. Mic icon. Did you get it?
Yeah, I've unmuted. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I'm saying hi from Australia.
Oh, wonderful.
I just found, I mean, I've known about you for a while, but I really hadn't looked at art storefronts, and I was just rebuilding my whole art website.
Mm-hmm.
And I came across you yesterday, and I saw that this was on at 6 o'clock here in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so I jumped on here, and also I got an email saying somebody would contact me.
Yep.
Yeah. So that will happen. I like that. You've got some special or something on at the moment, so I'd love to know what that is.
Yes. Amazing.
And I'd like to, yeah. So I haven't been able to find out, what your pricing, anything else is. I've looked at, it was another artist who does some similar work to mine, because I have, as well as paintings, I have oracle cards.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thought, I wonder who made this website. So I then went and found this. So that's how I come to be here. So I'm trying to find out a bit more. Do I use Woo? Do I use Shopify? Do I use ECWid? And I thought, well, I'll come and find out what this is.
Yep. Those three questions are not the important questions. The important questions are, how are you going to solve the marketing problem, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm very good on social media, and I love doing reels and things. But I haven't been doing it for my art, so this is a shift for me.
Yeah. What have you been doing it for? Just out of curiosity.
I do it for my cards, which are my art.
Uh-huh.
I do like a card a day. I have a lot of followers and things.
Cool.
More on Facebook than I have been on Instagram. I sort of let Instagram go, so I'm just rebuilding that one.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Gotta play the long game, right? You never there were times when Facebook was more important, and then Instagram was more important, and it very well could swing back to Facebook again.
Oh yeah. And when we first started, there was Twitter. I had 11,000 followers.
Boom.
I've been doing, I'm a social self-love mentor, a healer.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got hundreds of paintings. I've got one behind me that are not online.
Gotcha.
And when I was selling them before, they sold really well. People build walls of love and whatever. So that's what I want to rekindle, and get it all out there. So when I came across a friend's site who was doing this, I thought, well, I'll get up early and find out how it works and where to move from there.
Yeah, and there's obviously some unique circumstances for Aussie customers, right? Because the question
that was the other thing I wanted to find out. Yes.
Yeah. We have a couple of big ones, and like where the change happens is because the shipping is so prohibitive to Australia and or New Zealand for that matter. Our Aussie customers will use us to facilitate and ship all of the North American orders and European orders, and then they will print and ship the Australian orders locally with like a local shop, just because to not have to incur like the additional shipping costs. But I think when you talk to someone on the phone, when they show you all the prices and everything else, We have a guy who's been a customer for a long, long time. This guy, John Lechner. He's where does he live? He lives right outside of Sydney.
Right.
Super interesting photographer, good dude. He's been with us for like a long, long time, and then he runs the business for this gal who's a painter, also Australian. What is her last name? Natalie something. God, her work's insane. It almost looks like a photograph. Anyway, just ask the rep for tomorrow if you could talk to John Lechner if you're interested after the fact, because I think he'd be a very good. How does it work for an Aussie-based artist, right? And like, what does that look like? How do you have it handle the North American orders? How do you handle the Aussie orders? What's the split up on that? How are you doing it from a currency standpoint? Are you charging Aussie dollars or American dollars? All those ins and outs. So that's what I would say.
Oh, okay, that's fine. And the other thing was, do people put their original art on this site or not?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's original art, I'd still be in the same shipping game.
Yes.
That I'd be using, whether I'm doing Shopify or ECWeed or Woo. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean,
but so with you, everything is set up within the site.
It is. Yeah, it is. Oh, it's all integrated, and it's a much smoother process. And I don't really like knock any of our competitors, or well, we have some that copy us verbatim, but like if it was up to me, I would give the damn websites away for free, because the website it's nothing. It's literally nothing. All it is your art up somewhere, and okay, great. It's what happens after that, right? Like our website doesn't.
You've still got to do the marketing.
Yeah, and no one, and like if you talk to a bunch of different artists, they sign up with some technological platform. They don't solve the marketing problem. They burn out. They blame the website company, and then they switch and they go to a next one. Rinse and repeat, hopping from here to there, right? Without solving the major problem. So that's,
I understand that. And I understand, I've been building websites for years, but I've never used WooCommerce, and
yeah, it's not a good use of your time. I go back to the chef analogy. Like, case in point, you should be the chef. You should not be, taking phone calls in the reservations and then seating people, right? You should be in the kitchen cooking. That's it.
I love it. Yeah,
it's so true. It's so true. So that's what I would say. Like, after you go through the demo and the plans and the pricing, and you see all of that, have them connect you with John Lechner, and then that'll be as complete a picture as you could possibly get.
Oh, okay. So will somebody? I did this yesterday. So we'll, because of the different time zones.
Yeah, they'll track you.
So it won't be now till my tomorrow, or maybe my later today, that somebody will call me.
Correct.
Right. Okay. I'll watch for it on my phone. Because,
we have a resident Kiwi on staff too that understands these time zone differences, because you start telling me today's tomorrow and tomorrow's today, it's going to make my head hurt. I can't do it. I could barely even navigate 2 time zones over.
Yeah. Well, it's Thursday morning here now, just to let you know.
Crazy. Yeah.
We live in the future.
And you do indeed.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I'll look forward to the call, and then from there I'll make the decision.
Wonderful. Thanks, Susie. Have a wonderful Thursday.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Michelle, you're up next. Go ahead, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm in Brooklyn.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi. I have a collection now of watercolors, and I've done a series of smaller pieces. But then I specifically painted to the ones I want to have prints made of. Okay. So there's no duplication between originals and prints that are available. Okay. When I've just been doing fairs and stuff, and I hear you guys talk about prints a lot.
Yeah.
Do a lot of your customers, is there stuff that's just like a piece of art that's a collection of just prints, or do they often take an original, like a series of their originals, and make prints out of them?
Great question. I don't know if you're here at the beginning of it to hear my ranting on pricing, but for me, the pricing equation is the most important. Yeah. It's the tendency is to like get wrapped up in the emotion of it somehow when it's just mass. Like, I believe conclusively that when you have the range of pricing throughout your entire career, you are going to acquire the highest number of customers.
The more customers that you acquire, the more that some of them are going to come back and be repeat customers, and then some that you're going to turn into collectors. The more collectors you have, the stronger the base salary is for the business year after year after year after year. So my position is you have to have the range of pricing. Once you do that, everything else is fair game. How you do it, how you achieve it doesn't matter. Non-wall art is a part of the lineup. Prices from 0 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 plus, right? So if you're asking, you know, if you have an original and you rip a bunch of prints of that, is it somehow going to affect the value of the original? No, not at all.
No, I'm just asking if that's a common thing that people do. I'm just curious.
Yeah, most people have like if you're a painter, right? Like they have the original, and then they have a bunch of prints and a bunch of different media types for just about every single solitary piece. Now, in certain circumstances, do you want to play the limited edition game? Yeah, you do. And it's important to like help expand the line, right? So let's say $0 to $100 price range, you have your merch in there, right? And you have your small paper prints in there, like tiny guys, right? Like, you know, you could say a paper print like this size, right? Like basically like an 8x10. And then as you go a little bit further up in size and the various other media types, now we're hitting the 200, the 400, the 600, the 800, the 1,000, right? Well, it's helpful to have limited editions starting at 1,200 to 2,000 so that you can bump the originals up to 2,500, let's just say for an instance, right? And so us non-artist consumers, human beings that judge everything on the basis of comparison, it's much easier and palatable for us to understand, okay, so this is my 0 to 100 price range. This is my 100 to 1,000. This is my 1,000 plus. This is why the originals cost what they do, right? So it kind of just helps you step up through the whole thing.
One last question. Now,
Please.
when you say merch, I know that you guys handle and fulfill prints. Do you guys do merch as well?
Yes.
Like my printer does like digital printing on cylindric glass, for example. So I could do vases and stuff. Do you guys do all that? I kind of think of it as promo stuff, so it's like always kind of a turn off, you know?
For sure. And I had that experience early on. I mean, even me, I was like, nobody wants that cheap tchotchke crap, right? Like, why are we even offering this? And boy, did I have such a 180 because I realized that like, not everybody is ready to buy wall art right now. The hardest.
So you guys do offer other items?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
A whole bunch of different ones, but it doesn't mean you can't use your local one for whatever you want to. Like I have some customers that hand paint wooden kitchen spoons. I quite frankly don't give a damn what it is, as long as there's. Oh, Michelle, I love your work, but I'm currently living in my mother's basement right now. I want to reward your creativity. Do you have something for me, right? And so it needs to solve for that scenario. It needs to solve for that scenario. And I quite frankly don't care if it's stickers or yoga mats or mugs or tote bags or calendars or puzzles. It doesn't matter to me at all. As long as you have a way to get your art into my house that I'm looking at it every day, and then you get my email address so you can keep marketing to me. So yes, we do.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Miss Nightbloom, you're up. You got to tell me how to pronounce your first name.
Hi, I'm Sylph.
Sylph.
And my partner Ruby. So
by the way, I don't think anyone saw you gracing your nudity on our Zoom, so don't worry about that.
Good.
Yeah.
So we make all kinds of things out of coconut palm fronds. We're weavers.
Cool.
And one example of what we make. And I'm wondering, is there a way that we could make this into something like what you're talking about? Like, do you think that something like this could be converted into a sticker or a button or a?
Yeah, it's a great question. Probably not so easily, right? But you know, being that you're weavers, and I don't know much about weaving, there has to be something creative that can be small. Like, can you weave keychain holders? Can you weave keychain holders, or there's got to be something, right?
How about like a bumper sticker that says, "I'm not drunk, I'm weaving," with like a little person like.
See, that's hilarious. I would get that. I mean, everyone's laughing. I would get that bumper sticker. I mean, that's super funny. But you know, at the end of the day, like, despite the fact it's not wall art in your scenario, you still have the same marketing problem all the rest of us have, right? You're still in the exact same boat. So, yeah.
Yeah, and everything's handmade by us. So like, having deeply discounted things, like people are like, oh, well, can I get a wholesale price? It's like, well, we still spent 3 hours making this thing. We don't really want to give it to you for $10.
Yeah. So very easy solve for that.
and that's how you approach your markups, right? And so what we do is we recommend our customers do a 250% markup over what it costs wholesale. So in your cases, you would assign an hourly wage to what you guys think it is, and then 250% markup and start your prices there. And start your prices there such that if somebody's like, this is awesome, I'll take it, fantastic. But if they want to try and grind you, you have some room. You know what I mean? You have some room to come down and just assume that like 80% of the time they're going to try to negotiate, and it's all a game. So if you're ready for it ahead of time, you don't take it personally, it doesn't bother you, none of the above. But also the range fixes everything. Because a lot of times, like, you know, and I know how damn defeating and deflating it can be. Like, do you know how much time I spent on this? And you're like, I can give you $10. Like, you son of a, you know, ruin your whole day. It's like a troll comment on social media. But when you know that those things are going to come, they're doing that because they're not bad people. They don't have the basis for comparison. So when you have the range of like the small pieces up to the big pieces, then they see everything and they know. And then also when they come in and they're like, oh my gosh, I really like this, would make such an incredible planner. Would you take $20 for it? You could be like, no. Have you seen my bumper sticker? This is in your price range. I'm not drunk, I'm weaving, right? And then you don't like, it's not as defeating. And then you always have somewhere to steer them, right? Which I find to be like so important. And because human beings are wired to make purchasing decisions on the basis of comparison. When they don't have anything to compare it to is when you get those super low ball, like lame offers, right? So it really fundamentally changes the way.
Yeah. What really sucks is when you see something that's small, if it fits in your hand, you think, oh, that's 10 or $20. Well, the smaller things are things where we've split down one of these. You can see the leaf right here, how wide they are. If you split them down into like little filaments and you microwave with them, then you can have something that's
even harder.
My hand. It took me so long. I wouldn't take less than $100 for that. And people look at it and they're like, oh, that's a little tchotchke that should go on my table or whatever, $10.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
yeah. You know, we all know the feeling. It's so deflating. But again, that's why you guys are going to have to figure out some items that fit the bill, right? Like even if you buy some woven things by some machine in China and you just have those, right? Like here's some woven placemats, you know, someone, Michelle put it in there. Here's some woven placemats that I bought somewhere else and mark those things up 250%, right? Like, you know, it'll save you much consternation and headache. Trust me.
Something crazy happened because we were selling on Etsy and they were taking too much money from us. And so we decided to mark the products way up so that no one would buy it for that price. And they would message us. And we had it like in the description that said, if you're interested and want the real prices, please contact us. But what ended up happening was that a representative from Disney Inc. ended up buying 10 of our purses that were marked up like 250%, like at that price.
Yep.
It was shocking. I didn't ever imagine somebody would buy a purse that took me about 4 hours to make for $200 plus shipping.
Believe it. And you know what'll really scramble your noodle? They probably never would have bought it at the cheaper price. There are certain people that get the value establishment based on how much they spend for it. That's what blows their hair back, right? There's multiple studies that I've read in various different marketing books where exact same merchandise jacked the price up and it started selling like hotcakes. It's just how it goes sometimes. It's crazy.
Funny.
Yeah.
Well, I had a question. Because like we're basically starving artists at this time. We really don't have a budget for marketing. We've just been limping along doing it ourselves on local Facebook groups. We live in Hawaii on the Big Island. So I'm wondering like, what do you guys got? What do you got to offer the starving artists? You know, do you just take a percent of whatever sells and
at some point in time, I would love for us to be able to get to a plan to do that, but we're more the, most expensive option in the entire market. And the reason that we're the most expensive option in the entire market is we realize like if we don't do everything in our power to make our customers successful, they're all going to cancel, right? So that's what was happening in the beginning when it was just a website. So we went from basically just a technology company offering software to a full-blown postgraduate university in art and business marketing, and it doesn't ever stop. Like, we have 5 Zoom sessions a week just like this internally for customers, teaching everything imaginable, and it never, ever stops. So there is an army of people on the other side that are going to not just teach you how to market, keep you accountable, occasionally harass you when you don't do it. Okay. There's a group of people that are all going through the same miserable and suffering experience at the same time. Okay. So when you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, this is annoying the hell out of me, someone else is like, I was there too. Come on, we got to keep going. Right. And there's literally an army of people to support you. And so I would say subscribe to my podcast, listen to my podcast. It's very good. It's totally free. There's a ton of awesome stuff in there that you can start using right away. It's called the Art Marketing Podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on Stitcher. Sorry to get that out of the way. It's on whatever, all of them. And you could start doing some damage with this right away. Once you start feeling better about it, okay? Once you start feeling better about it, then burn your boat and make the investment because it's worth it if you guys want to make it and you want to make this thing happen.
Is the monetary investment?
Depends. I think like our cheapest, so we're like any other like website company, and we charge a monthly fee for the website, and then you pay a one-time fee to get into the university. And I think we start at like $1,500 or $1,600 or something like that. Yeah, it's not cheap. But again, like, and we get that all the time, right? And because it sounds expensive, and then it's like, what is the alternative? The alternative is struggle even more for years and years without making the forward progress, never going through the pain and suffering that you need to build up enough of a following to get there. So in terms of time, value, money, and everything else, we feel really good about what we do. But again, we didn't start out that expensive. The whole point is like, this is what artists and photographers need to feel supported enough on the journey to give them the best shot possible. And that's where we've arrived.
Found it.
Do you want to take a shot at pronouncing Loki's middle name, because you guys are in Hawaii and you know Hawaiian a little bit?
Let's see.
Hold on.
Scroll it sideways, because I'm going to find this amusing. If it was spaced out, I could do it, because I'm actually Hawaiian. I actually have a Hawaiian name. Okay.
Loke ke hana I ku. It disappeared.
Okay, we're gonna unmute. We're gonna unmute Loki. If there was spacing, Loki, we could do this. Okay, you're unmuted. Loki, we need.
Hey, you're unmuted. Loki, we need.
Hello, I can't come on right now. Hold on for right now. Okay, my name is Loke. Hey, Hana
Oh wow, wow! There was a lot going on in there.
Wow, there's a lot going on in there.
And my voice is now coming out of your speakers. Hold on, I gotta mute you. So just for the record, okay, my dad, both of his brothers went to Kamehameha, okay, grew up in Oahu, and I am actually Patrick Ka'ahalealea Shanahan. So I have a Hawaiian name as well. My grandpa was a senator of Hawaii before it was even a state, believe it or not. So my Hawaiian roots go way back too. Okay, guys, who else? Comments, questions? It's definitely not that long now. It's definitely not as long as yours is. Yeah, Daniel, I got you. Go ahead. And you'll need
Thanks so much.
Yep, gotcha. Okay.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, I sure can.
Great. I am totally impressed with everything that's going on. Love everything you said. It's very impressive. I was actually yesterday on a call, heard more about it, and so on and so on. Mm-hmm. Have some practical questions for you that are non-art related, just so that I can get a better understanding.
Please.
And forgive me, how old is the Skull Fund?
We're coming up on 10 years.
Wow. Oh,
but it didn't. But it's not. That's not entirely fair. So, the founder, okay, one of my childhood friends actually, he started a company called Breathing Color, and Breathing Color is a manufacturer of fine art media types for inkjet printing, but at the high end, for art reproduction. So that business was going for years and years and years. And so then when he started Art Storefronts, in his mind, he had it that it was going to be software for the print studios that are printing for artists, right? So that was what the original product was developed as. And that was sort of like right at the time where the technology reached the peak, meaning everyone had the same monitors, everyone had the same color profilers, everyone had the same printers, and everyone was buying the same media types. So at that point in time, like a lot of the skill went out of it, and it sort of was like who's buying ink by the barrel. So all the small mom and pops started getting disrupted for the big dogs with buying paper and ink at greater volumes. So doing it for artists, we're probably coming up on 7.5, 8 years.
Fantastic. And what's his name?
Nick Friend.
Nick Friend.
Mhm.
Wow. F-R-E-N?
Friend like a friend. F-R-I-E-N-D.
Oh, Friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Roughly how big is your team?
Guy, in the last all hands, I would have to get like an exact count, but we're probably somewhere 250, 300, somewhere around like that.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm telling you, we have a little bit over 10,000 customers, and there's a lot to support, like what I'm saying in terms of what happens internally is like not hyperbole. Like we're running a full-blown university internally.
Yeah. And where are you located?
So we had an official office presence pre-COVID, which was in Austin, Texas. Post-COVID, we've sort of become a company of the world, and I don't think we're ever going back to having an office again. I think we all prefer being remote.
Yeah, get that completely. And I have no sense and understanding of money. I have a lot of understanding of other things and so on and so on. Roughly how many photographers do you have? And do you have any estimation of roughly what the average net income of all these photographers are, of the photographers are?
Yep, great questions. I would imagine we're probably 60-40. It's probably 60% artists, 40% photographers. Not by design. That's just kind of how the cards shook out.
Sure.
As we've grown and done it. And the second part of the question is deeply flawed. And the premise of the question is that there's some sort of magical formula that works for everyone. And the reality is that on the photographer side, it is such a crazy multivariate question every single solitary time. Like service-based photographers, what type of work are they shooting? How big is their social media following? How serious? It's like, some are full-time. I would imagine on the photographer side, it's like roughly 80-20 on the artist side, I would say, meaning 80% have full-time jobs, 20% are full-time artists. And on the photographer side, it's probably close, except the majority of the photographers have their wedding photographers or portrait photographers or service-based, or they're leading tours, or they teach, or whatever the case is. So it's deeply flawed to try and benchmark yourself against something, some magical formula.
I can't possibly benchmark myself, and you can't, and nobody can. That's why I'm asking for sort of an average. And the reason I'm doing that is because your business model is upfront, monthly, plus commission.
Yep.
If it was only commission and a higher commission, I would say, I know I'm working with a win-win company that is going to do everything it can to help me with my sales.
Everyone would. But the problem is that then all the risk transfers to us, because there's just no guarantee that you can get anyone to do their marketing regularly and consistently, right? And there's also no guarantee, like, one of the most interesting things, and especially on some of our most successful photographers, is that I know my work is so good. I know if I get it in front of enough eyeballs, it will sell and it'll do great. Okay. But you don't know that until you've gotten it in front of enough eyeballs, right? And in many cases...
I would make your point even stronger.
Yeah.
Let's say, and I'm not saying that my work is good, but let's say I think my work is extraordinarily good. That does not mean I will sell a single item.
Yeah.
So the question that I have as a customer, I love everything you're saying. I'm making an investment. I want to know if it's reasonable for me to think that at least I'm not losing money here. And that's why I'm just asking for roughly average, roughly what is the net income.
I know where you're going, but I still don't like the premise in the slightest, in the sense that there's an expectation of anything, right? because what you're saying is that somehow this is going to build my business for me, and I don't want you coming in on that mindset. I want you coming in the mindset like, this is the greatest set of tools and education I could possibly have to make my career a reality in art, in photography, but I'm going to have to be the one to work it, and I'm going to have to be the one that is willing to do what it takes, both from a marketing standpoint, and sometimes it's from like a subject matter pivoting standpoint, meaning, and then I'll answer your question, by the way. And from like a subject matter pivoting standpoint, meaning you come in with a body of work, the body of work does not resonate, it doesn't sell. Are you willing to try some new things until we find something else that works out for you? And we're doing that with a ton of our customers, like on a regular basis. We're constantly pivoting.
Of course, and I am open to that.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you a business question, and you're giving me a marketing answer.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll answer.
And all I'm asking for is a number, and I'm sure that number exists somewhere.
Yeah. It honestly doesn't. Like, we don't pull it, and we don't have it in a database, and there's some reasons for that. Number one, the majority of our customers try to put as many transactions as possible not through the system, right? On direct phone calls with the direct customer, and then putting it in as a wholesale order. Not only do they do that, I encourage them to do that, because the most valuable thing a photographer, an artist could do is talk directly one-on-one with their potential buyer and start a relationship. So that probably accounts for like a 60% hit off of what we have already. On top of that, we do have data.
Just to understand. So if I talk to someone and sell privately, no commission.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Okay, cool.
And that's cool. What I want you to do. So, I mean, we have.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I understand it. I'm not pushing you. I'm still unbelievably impressed, and realize a lot of it is up to me.
Yeah.
Having done many things between art and science and engineering, and helping companies and big companies really transform and grow, I'm extremely impressed. That is a well-meant compliment.
As a photographer too, I want you to. I'm going to get it for you right now. I'm going to screen share first. I want you to listen to my buddy here, because I find it just to be so damn impressive. Hold on, I want to pull it up. So I should mention too, like, that why isn't the screen share working on this? Come on. Oh, there it is. Okay. I get a variation of this question like all the time, right? And again, there's a whole bunch of reasons why it's really, really hard. But I want you to listen to this later. And everyone always asks, like, where are the really successful customers? Like, where are the really impressive, kids that are really, really doing it? So this kid, Jonah, I think he's 29 now, and I don't know, he averages about 100,000 a month. And the only reason I know that, because he does 100% of his transactions either in person, face-to-face, or via Zoom call, is because he tells me, right? And I'm mentoring the kid a little bit, but incredible interview with a photographer who's got, a very interesting niche in the sense that he like owns this Florida Panhandle region, and all of it is ocean-based, and it's all ocean-based about this Florida Panhandle. And so I did an hour interview with him on Zoom. It's like about a month ago now, or 3 weeks ago now. Tells his stories on a bunch of things, and then we opened it up to Q&A, and anybody that was on the call could ask him questions. And he got some of these questions too, so it'll be really, really good. I highly recommend everyone listen to that. So just a killer piece of content. Yeah. But I would say, other than that, like, probably the easiest way for me to answer it is like, whatever.
And just a minute, this is the link that you just posted.
Yeah, it's in the chat. Cool. Probably the best way to answer it is like, individual artists are small businesses, right? Small mom and pop businesses, and for the most part, and they probably comport to what the national average is probably the best and the right way to answer it. You know what I mean? That would be what I would say, honestly. And I think, again, it's like, I have photographers that are like, this is like the head scratching thing. Like, going back to your question, I have photographers that have over 1 million followers on Instagram, have massive names, BBC, Nat Geo, this, that, the other, that don't do as well as photographers that have 2,500 followers on Instagram. They just have a more locked down niche. Like, how the hell do you explain that, right? Like, it's so hard to explain that, like, that it works that way. And so I don't know. My wife has a PhD in statistics. I need to ask her like why she does. I'm not kidding. I have to ask her like why the, what the statistical explanation is for it, and how it works. But yeah, that's how I'd answer.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Daniel. And I appreciate your thoughtful, thought out questions.
Well, let me just say one more thing as a compliment. You're giving me huge motivation to move along, because it was clear to me up till now, even if my artwork is great, let's just forget if it is or if it isn't, I just wouldn't have a clue how to go about it. And I know some very high-end, both printers and photographers, that are really struggling.
Yeah.
So why put any effort there? And you're sort of giving me hope and convincing me.
Yeah.
That it's worth trying. Of course, it's my responsibility if I make it or not. It's okay.
Yeah. I would also go as far to say, like, the number one, fringe cases aside and unicorns aside, like the kid I just showed you, a unicorn. The fact that he's doing $100,000 a month puts him in the top 1% of selling artists in the United States. Probably not even top 1%, probably 1/10 of 1% of artists that are selling in the United States. Big deal, right? So he hit his niche. Other than that, like, I've been amazed over the years that you can't pick horses in this business. No one can. Okay, like, I'm an amateur photographer. I studied photography in school. I studied all the masters. I had to do my own prints in the dark room, the whole thing, okay? There are people that I think don't even understand framing and are taking damn snapshots that are doing like $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year. And it's because of the bond they have with their audience. It's not because the photographs are good. It's because of the bond they have with your audience, right? And then I've got other guys that the photos are unbelievable and they're struggling like crazy and everything in between. And it's such a multivariate equation. It's crazy. So I think what ends up differentiating you is how seriously you take the marketing, how good you're at it. And then once you start getting the attention and building the bond with your audience, then the opportunity is great and it doesn't go away. And I also think too that, like, there are so few artists and photographers that, one, are good at the marketing, and two, ever stick to it for a long enough period of time such that the business gets real momentum. And, what I'm blown away on is I've been running basically like 3 of these webinars a week. And I run the entire marketing department here. I love them because it keeps me close to the customer, constantly learning and like a level of intel that I wouldn't otherwise have as a marketer. There are routinely people in their 90s that are coming on here. Like once a month, somebody in their 90s asking for advice on how to grow their business. And I look at that and it's like, the particular creative expression, whether you decide to do it with like a camera lens or whether you decide to do it, on canvas or weaving in this case, right? You don't ever turn that off. It doesn't ever go away. No one ever wants to stop doing it. You're going to be doing it for life, right? And when you look at the event horizon that is life and how much time all of us have left, right? Like, God willing, right? But for most people, it's so long. And if the regular and consistent marketing and the basics were done, that's the differentiating factor. It just is, because no one does it. Like, no one does it. The other corollary that I get is like, I did fairs and shows for 30 years, right? Did you keep any receipts? Did you keep any email addresses of these folks? No, none of us did. And it's like, you don't have a business. You have nothing. You're essentially starting from scratch when you have the quality of your work. But because you don't have a list, you don't have anyone to market to, like, you've got nothing, right? Or like the sheer number of insanely talented artists that were in galleries and then COVID hit and then they all signed up. They're like, I have no income. This is fucking terrifying. What am I going to do? Right. And because they were with galleries, they have no idea who purchased their work. They don't know who their collectors are. They didn't have a list. Right. And so you see that, and that's like also equally terrifying. Mm-hmm. So I actually think that if you can write the mental check to say, like, I'm going to give this the 3 to 5 years to make it happen, you will be successful. Anyone will be. Anyone would be.
I love that. And I'll share with you something that terrifies me that you didn't touch and you couldn't know. I just had a solo exhibition, Irrelevant. Mm-hmm. I found one old print that I made years ago. Oh, wow, wonderful. Completely fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. My printer broke. I have a good friend who's one of the best printers in the country, mm-hmm. and a good framer. And I just printed it more or less at cost price, got it framed so it's hanging here in my room. with museum glass.
Mhm.
It cost me $1,000.
Yeah.
Just for me to do it for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that, oh, come on. And of course you could get it done and printed for a third of the price, fourth of the price with companies and so on, but the quality would be so much different.
Yeah.
So anyway, just sharing.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
I think that what you're saying is, okay, give several opportunities. You can have this if you want to go all the way to the fine art print.
Yep.
With the best quality that's possible. It'll take a little longer. It'll cost you a lot more.
Exactly
And
right.
your choice.
Exactly right. And don't ever think you're smarter than the customer, right? Like, I get into that all the time with my customers. It's like, well, I don't like this media type, or I don't like that media type. And it's like, wait. Let's talk about what the business is here, okay? The business is for you to have a living off your creative talents. Don't go thinking you're smarter than the customer. You order all 5 media types so that you can show off a paper, okay? A textured fine art paper or a glossy paper, canvas, metal, acrylic, wood, okay? When you have the stack, you're able to show it all off, give people the options, and let them decide what they want your damn work on, right? Don't be so intransigent about what it's on. And oftentimes they'll want what you least expect, and they'll love it on that, and you can't understand why because you don't. But guess what, dude? Shut up, right? Like, we got to sell the work here. Shut up. Let the customer decide, you know? Anyway, artists do a number of wacky things to self-sabotage themselves, so I see it on a regular basis.
And to be smarter than the customer, I first of all need to be smart myself, which is a problem.
Yeah. Self-defeating. Great questions, Daniel. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for answering.
Yep. Hope to see you on the inside. All right. Who else has questions? I didn't see if there's any other hands up. I don't feel like I'm doing a good enough job pitching you, Andrea. Okay. We don't have any questions coming in for you. I don't even know what's going on here. All right. Well, a replay of today's sessions with all of the links that I want you to check out is going to be coming to you via email in short order. So any of the stuff that I mentioned in the video up front, any of the stuff I mentioned after the fact, I really do recommend you guys subscribe to the podcast. If you're not podcasting people and you don't know how to find a podcast and you've never done anything like that, just search the YouTube channel. All the podcasts are going on the YouTube channel. We're really hammering this thing recently. Put out a great one today. It's not going to get released till tomorrow. But anyway, other than that, appreciate all of you guys spending a Wednesday with me. Appreciate getting into pronouncing Hawaiian names and everything else that we went through today. I found it to be quite enjoyable, and hope to see you all on a future session and/or inside and all the rest. And yes, Svetlana, you can do sculptures. We got people doing sculptures too. All right, I'm gonna go walk my barking dogs. See you guys later.